Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, cats and dogs, whatever you are. Welcome back to another episode of Paul's Messy Bench Models. Today, I would like to share with you my build of Revell's 1/24th scale Porsche 918 Spyder. I've probably said this before, but I'm kind of a sucker for box art. I didn't even know this car existed until I saw this box in the hobby shop, and I thought, hey, that's cool. So I bought it. Turns out the real car is actually an insanely powerful hybrid. It's got a huge gas engine. It's got a huge electric motor. Goes 0 to a million and nothing flat. Ridiculous car. But it looks good. The kit goes together reasonably well. There weren't a lot of major fit or construction issues with it. And it certainly looks pretty once you get it done. It's got some frustrating features to it. It's got a very detailed engine and front and rear suspension and electric motor detail. But once you get it all put together, you'll never see it again. I kind of got suckered into doing a lot of detail work on the engine because I noticed on the kit trees that there was a transparent cover for the back, but I didn't notice that there's a metal mesh decal that goes on top of the transparent piece to cover the engine, and once it's all together, you can't see the engine anymore. So if I were you, just slap it together, paint it black, don't worry about it, just stick it in there. The front and rear bumpers are separate pieces from the rest of the body, and if you follow the instructions, the inner fender parts are added to the floor pan early in the construction, and then the body is added to the floor pan, and then after most of the major construction is done, you're supposed to add the front and rear bumpers. But the fit in the front and the rear bumpers isn't really good enough that you want to paint your body and the bumpers before gluing them together. I thought it would be easier to glue the front and rear bumpers on, get the body all smooth, get the seams matched up, and paint the whole body as a whole, and then add it to the rest of the car. The thing is, the inner fender parts will interfere with your ability to get the body down onto the floor pan. The way I got around that was that I fit one fender at a time. I just sort of temporarily taped it to the floor pan, put the body on, and then glued the inner fender to the body, and did that one at a time in each corner. So I wound up having inner fenders glued to the body instead of the floor pan, and that way I could just drop the whole assembly straight down onto the floor pan after I was done painting. And I think it works out better that way. The interior detail of the cabin is pretty good. You get all kinds of decals for the steering wheel and dashboard and console, and seat belts were not included with the kit. I just added shoulder straps and a little photo etch buckle just so it doesn't look like they're missing. The kit comes with a tree of chrome parts. The wheels and inner headlights and caps and this piece on the rear deck are all pre-chromed, but the real car doesn't have any actual chrome on it, so I wound up stripping that off and using various metallic paints. The decals are very nice. They work very well. I don't know if it shows up, but you get a decal for the brake rotors, so you can see the cooling holes in the brake rotors. And you get a little Porsche logo for each hubcap. One thing I didn't like about the decals is that they're really not quite as opaque as I hoped they would be. The yellow looks a little dingy on the license plate, but that's a minor thing. The bottom of the car is just a flat plate, so once again, all your work on the suspension and engine, electric and gas, none of it will ever be seen again. On the real car, this rear spoiler is a separate piece, and it can raise up and down. So Revell gives you that as a separate piece also, and you have the option of displaying it up or down. If you just snap it in so that you can move it after construction, it's not going to fit very well. You're not going to get a very good seam at the corners here. So I glued it in the down position, figuring if there's nobody in the driver's seat, this thing's not going to raise up anyway. So I just glued it down so I could get a nice seam on there. This area between the outer fender and the back of the door is a separate piece that glues in from the inside, and you wind up with a seam in the body right there, which can be tricky to clean up. I wound up wrapping sandpaper around a dowel to get in there. It's a tricky spot to sand. For the body color, I used Splash Paint's Liquid Gray, which is a really cool kind of gunmetal look. Looks very serious and German. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions how I can make them better, feel free to let me know in the remarks. And have a good day. We'll see you next time. Bye.